Hello and welcome to BCC Virtual Racing, and tonight's race, the GGCC race series, the Triple Loops in London. We'll go live to that right now. All sorts of technical problems this evening, so apologies for one moment while I try and sort it out. Right, I'll just let the riders get underway, then I'll explain a little bit about the course this evening. And as things aren't quite working properly as they should, I will turn the camera off, as it's a bit of a distraction and only has half of my head in there. So tonight's race, the Triple Loops, which is two of the routes in London and one out into the Surrey Hills. It is 41.4 kilometres long, 569 metres of climbing, so fairly significant. Most of that elevation is taken up by the well-known Leith Hill and Box Hill in Surrey, and of course that short little magic link between the two areas of London and Surrey, the tunnels under the underground, miraculously allows riders to jump 30 miles in the space of a few seconds. Quite a strong field this evening, 23 riders from BCC, about another 100 odd in the rest of the field. And as it is a GGCC event, as is typical with them, Cat B, I'm watching Cat A, we have no Cat A riders this evening. I was just going to say, the different categories start at 1 minute intervals. Looks as if Cat B is now underway. You can see Courtier there up the front along with Beaver. I'll have to wait for it to settle. Beaver did a good win on Thursday night. Pedley's in there as well. Barry Pedley, haven't seen him racing for a while. And the strong riders of Brackey and Roland Davis, I'm sure, is there somewhere. Lancier makes another appearance again. I haven't seen him racing for a while, and I think, as I mentioned, probably on Thursday night, I'm sure that means he's lost his top spot. And I'm not sure if I've actually got a stream running here. Let's have a look. Well, if someone sees this live, if they would leave a comment for me, that would be great, because I have no idea if it's working. It says it is, but my normal monitoring tools show nothing happening at all. Anyhow, we'll continue on. So 1 kilometre in, it's a short lead in on this before going round, I think it's the London Classic first. And the first half of this course, I mean, there are one or two little bumps in central London, nothing to worry about. The first half of this course is flat, and the second half, of course, quite hilly. Neil Campbell up there in the front for the Cheetahs. I see a couple of riders from the Bees in the yellow and black kit. And there is, I was going to say there is Davis, but he's gone. There's Rowlands, has the polka dot jersey already. If he can keep that up, he'll be doing very well. Right, I think Lancier, all the usual crowd in this front group. We'll come back to them. I think there are 10 or 11 riders in category B. And about 9 or 10 in Cat C. Courtier, just saw on the screen. Pedley. I'll have a look at Cat C, should be underway now. There's the first of the Cat C riders. But the first BCC rider looks to be Shannon leading the way. Now this is a change from Thursday evening. He didn't start, as far as I remember, particularly well, but even ignoring that fact, drifted quite quickly through the field towards the rear. Up there with them, though, Smith trying to hold it back this time, not doing his usual too fast, too soon, which hasn't served him at all well. Hall, Ray, I think I saw there, Measham in there too. And don't forget, we'll have a look and see what the gap is between the first of the C riders and the rear of the B. These riders are 1 minute further back. Al Watts I've just spotted. And Smith can't quite get on Watts. Peter Jones. Now he's lost touch with the field just for the moment, but then so has Wilkinson. I wouldn't expect to see him that far back in the field at this stage. Certainly would expect him to be ahead of Watts, but we'll see what happens there. Now there's Hokema in category D. Well, he's worked his way back through the field. Telford, Poulter and Lord. Lord seems to be the last BCC rider, and as we've got a Cat A rider there, it should allow me to loop through. No, it won't. So let's see if anything is happening towards the front of the field. I expect this group will stay pretty much together. There they are. Pretty much together until the first of the hills comes along. And they are now 3.8 kilometers, so a long race. Just looking on the companion app to see how this group is spread out. They are beginning to stretch out, probably over about 50-60 meters, but you can see there on the screen as they go around Eros and Trafalgar Square, sorry I should say. But no one yet pulling away. Oh, there's a Wickham rider up the front, Andy, tall Andy, as he likes to call himself. There he is, leading BCC by a second, and that is the chasing group behind him, closing that gap fairly quickly. Jury is right, in fact is the next rider, Katie Jury, as opposed to Mark, is closing in quickly. And he is going to get caught in no time at all. Lancia will be looking to beat Davis, although a couple of big hills might not suit him well, but tactically, if he can get a couple of other riders to go with him, this is a good opportunity to gain some ground, some distance or a gap on the flatter section of the course. Davis tucked in there. Beaver. Riders just rotating around. I think they will continue to do this. Looks as if Roland is actually pushing off the front a little. Let's have a look and see what he's up to. That's the view behind him. It was just a momentary surge of power. It happens on Zwift. It's hard to control sometimes, but there's Jury, Courtier, Roland, Davis, Lancia, James Schooler, I think I saw there as well, all up the front. And did I see Pedley? I saw him somewhere. O'Brackie and Pedley, along with tall Andy from Wickham. And let's see what's happening in Cat C. So it looks as if Shannon is maintaining his position at the front of Category C. Says he's in 9th position, 4th, 3rd, just as I speak, 11th, just rotating around out of 33 riders in Cat C. And a large part of this course emulates elements from the Ride London course, or the old Ride London course. There's Shannon Smith's in there too. Sampson, I don't think I've seen him before, sitting next to Measham. Looks as if a gap has formed though. Looking back, I can get it on screen. Not to Measham, but looks as if Ray I saw. So certainly Watts, Jones and Wilkinson now 32 seconds off the pace towards the rear of Cat C. Might have had a mechanical or some problem. But between Watts and the leading group, and Ray I have lost in the mix, but there's Tom Hall isolated. Coming up, does this look like the Piccadilly underpass? I think it is. I used to commute on that route. It's one of my favourite parts of the course, going down this. Underpass and up and out the other side. Measham looks as if he's riding well. Smith keeping it under control for once. Oh, there's Ray. I thought I saw him somewhere. Up towards the front of this category. And not to forget our Cat D riders who are riding 32 kilometres as opposed to the 41 plus, whatever it is. So still being led by Hokima at 5.1k, followed by Telford by himself and a further. So he is 45 seconds behind Hokima, and he himself is now 48 seconds ahead of Poulter. So normally I'd expect Telford to be right up the front of the BCC Cat D riders, but Hokima's made an appearance today. And then Lord that's in fact looking ahead now, she can just see Poulter in the distance. Oh, here we are, back up the front. So Chris Baracchi, I thought it was on him, it's not. Roland, I was trying to actually click on Campbell, but I've lost him. There he is. No, can't get him. There we go. Got him now. So riding for the Cheetahs, quite a few of his teammates around. And all sorts of things are going on my keyboard, but anyway. So Davis looks to be up towards the front of this 44 kilometers per hour heart rate, 141. So that's cruising for him, or race cruising. Steady state riding in terms of just the heart rate, not necessarily the power, but he can certainly hold a much higher average heart rate than that. So pace fairly relaxed, and just to emulate the rain outside. In the real world, it is of course raining in London, which isn't that far away anyway. And it looks pretty bad actually. In fact, I can hear it on my own roof. Beaver same heart rate, 141, 142, 3 watts per kilo. Jury at 3.2. Roland 2.7, Campbell 2.6. Chris Brackey 3.3. Now, is there a break going on here? Brackey's in first place, has put in some strong performances recently, just let another rider go past him, but they may well work together, and if they do, there is an opportunity here to get away from the chasing pack. Unfortunately, I can't see. Oh, there we are, it's changed to behind, but it looks as if Tall Andy from Wickham is attempting to close the gap up at 8 watts per kilo just there. Now back down to 6. The other riders are responding, going up to 6, 7.6, 7 watts per kilo. So no one wants to let Roland go away. A spirited effort from, Brackey go away, but a spirited effort from him. He now gets overtaken and is backed off in the power a little bit. He may well try that again. I hope so. It makes the racing interesting. The rest of the peloton, 1 or 2 riders catching up, but the main bulk are not as yet. They're still 3 or 4 seconds back, so a small breakaway is sort of forming, but then another rider off the front there, Craig, not one of ours, has made his own attempt, but has decided not to push that. So this group, if they can form a breakaway, it's not going to happen though. The peloton now closes that gap, have not let them get away, and that gap is closed. Okay, so for any of you watching, I guess just me at the moment, but if you can hear me okay, do please let me know. So, Lancia in there still. And a little bit of distance before the first hills. Let me just have a look on the overall map. Can't see too far into the distance on the moving map on the screen, but I can look elsewhere. A little bit to go yet. And then the first, once the riders cross the river by going under it, the first of the hills, if I remember correctly, will be Leith Hill, which is about 1.9 kilometres long and roughly 7.5% average. I think it's something like that. Feels worse when you're on it, but a nice descent off the other end. On the other side, a small little flat section, and then Box Hill, which in itself is not a particularly difficult hill, a very pleasant one to ride up. But at that stage in the race, it will begin to test these riders and teams. So that's enough of Chris Brackey. Who else have we got here? Lancia. I saw. So Matt Beaver here, I expect he'll do well on the hills. Campbell, probably not a favourite of his, but he is quite strong on the hills, at least the last time I saw him go up one. As is often the way with some of the larger riders. And this Coutier sitting relatively comfortably in the bunch. Our host as always this evening, Sandy Thompson from GGCC, the Glasgow Green Cycle Club, in case anyone doesn't know. And what's Beaver suddenly up to? I just saw him ramp it up to over 8 watts per kilo. Is this the hill on Northumberland Avenue? I think it might be. It's caused a little bit of a... It's caused a stretch out really rather than a break, but James Schoolar just towards the back of this now extended peloton that has split these riders up, but still driving forward in some heavy rain. Tall Andy up there from Wickham. So Schoolar at the moment first place overall in category B, and 55 seconds behind the last category A rider. So they've made a little bit of time on the back of Cat A, but that looks like one rider that's just dropped off. Then most of the Cat A bunch are 3 minutes ahead, so take off 1 minute, 2 minutes really. So they are pulling away, but that won't concern these riders really. And there is Davis doing his usual. Sitting there in the bunch. Right, we'll leave Cat B for the moment and move to Cat C. Looks as if Shannon is still leading the field. This is a spirited performance from him. Let's hope he can hold on to that. There he is. There he goes. And behind him, Smith in the same group. He has moved into 10th place in category C, 14th, 15th. Riders just rotating around. Quite a nice sized group this. If they can work together, they could do well. A couple of riders there from the Bs. And Sampson, I saw, there he is. Dave Sampson riding for the Cheetahs. Tom Hall in the Bs. Peter Jones, I think he's also in the Bs. There he is. So a good collection of B riders. I don't mean category B, I mean the team Bs. And then as we move back through the field, we have Ray. Sorry, he's at the front of the field now. He's jumping around. Let's see if I can find. So Tom Hall and Peter Jones and Al Watts has moved a little further forward. About 1 minute, this group of riders about 1.5 minutes behind the leading Cat C riders. Wilkinson 1:24 behind Watts, and no surprise at the moment in Cat D, Hokima still leading the field as far as I can tell. He is indeed. Telford has disappeared, and where he's gone. But these riders at 12 kilometres, the fact there is Lord, so Telford must be around somewhere. Can't see him. Oh, there he is, right on him, sorry. Telford at 11 kilometres, Lord 9.9. And while it lets me, I'll go straight to the front of Cat B. Looking at Jury, Rowland, Campbell, Beaver, Lancier, Davis, Schoolar, Courtier, all in this bunch. And I think these riders, looking at the heart rates, the power output, watts per kilo, apart from the odd little push when someone tries something a bit different. Is that Rowland with the power up? I couldn't quite see there. None of them are pushing at what I would call full race pace, but this could be the strategy for the team. It could be multifold actually. There could be riders in here trying to keep the pace down until it gets to the hills where they know they are potentially stronger. But in the same vein, I would expect those riders that are stronger on the flats to be making the efforts. No, but that is not happening. So this is an interesting strategy. There must be some team orders here, I would think. It could work, we shall see soon. And on the moving map, all riders still on the north side of the Thames. In fact, can I see one? I think there is a Category A rider just crossing the Thames now, so it won't be too long before the leading Cat B riders cross over. Chris Brackey, still jury up the front. Strong group in here actually. Let's hope it all changes soon. At least in a race of this length, tracking them's a little bit easier. It's the multi-lap ones that tend to be very difficult. Roland's still in the polka dot jersey. There's the big man Lance here. It will be fascinating to see what his strategy is as he comes towards the first of the hills, and for these riders that is not far off. They are going to go under the Thames very shortly. I'll just stay with his group now just to try and capture them doing just that. Or are they going over the Thames? Oh no, over, and then I think it's the underground line. On the underground tunnels. There's the Shard in the distance on the far left hand side. Oh, slight downhill. I can just see Andy from Wickham just next to Thompson from GGCC, and they're all moving around now. There we go. This is going to be the first interesting test. I'm going to watch Beaver actually. He's a good climber. Steep little downhill section. The key to this particular part of the course is to build speed, and a lot of it about now, so that as they come round this corner, and Beaver is up at the front, you'll see very shortly, curves round to the left and then takes a very steep uphill exit and magically into the hills of Surrey. Oh no, there's no, sorry about that, there is no underground exit on this one. I'm getting my different courses mixed up unless it's here. It might be here. No, it's straight out onto the course. Ah, well I thought that was the one with the underground section that ends up with a 15% short sharp climb, but that's not the case. But we're now entering, I think this is immediately onto Leith Hill, looks like it visually. Well, let's see what happens now. So 1.9 kilometers, we're at 19.7. So we'll say 21.6. It should finish on 1% at the moment, but it's going to go up fairly quickly. And this is the lead up to Leith Hill. First of the Cat A riders are nearing the top of it, about 3/4 of the way up. Jury sitting there well poised. Beaver. Has anyone dropped away? Wouldn't have thought so yet, as the incline hasn't really started to bite. Courtier, Davis, Lancia, all still here. Schoolar. I'll have a quick look at Shannon actually, because Shannon and Smith up the front of I've lost them now. Dave Sampson. Oh no, what's happened to Shannon? This has disappeared on my screen. There he is. There's Smith. So Shannon's right next to him somewhere. So Smith and Shannon, yes, are at the front along with Ray, I think it is. Now they are at 19.7 kilometers, whereas the Cat B riders are now at 19.9. That's the back of the field though, so 20.7 as the climb begins to bite. And it looks as if Pedley has dropped off the back of Group B. Campbell has moved towards the back, as has Courtier. It's beginning to stretch out. Rowland looks to be midfield. Let's move up and see. Next up on the list is Schoolar, then Lancia, then Rowland needs to earn that jersey, and Davis and Beaver. Jury almost up towards the front, but ahead of her Chris Brackey putting in a strong performance there, rotating around now, either getting a bit of a gap. Let's have a look. Well, you can see there, just looking back, just occasionally get a glimpse of BCC riders. Splits are beginning to form. Tiny downhill bit here, just a few seconds to recover before it ramps up yet again. And I think the downhill will always be interesting on this one. Certainly don't have to worry about the corners, but how many riders will take advantage of the super tuck or build up speed quickly to be able to take full advantage of the super tuck. So what's Beaver up to? Sitting in the bunch there, I would have thought it would be an opportunity for him to push ahead, but he's got other teammates around him. Davis out to the left. In fact, it's 3 B's riders in that bunch. Lancia with Dynamite. So nothing dramatic yet. I think the leading riders are beginning to just pull away a little. Few have dropped off the back, not been able to hold this pace. And you can see here, let's just have a look at Davis and his heart rate, because that one, now we're up at 170. He was at 141, 142, 143 on the flat. He's now beginning to push a bit, and at his age, that's a pretty high heart rate, although he can push it higher. I wouldn't like to, myself personally. So it's Davis, is Lancia. Let's see how Lancia is doing. I can click on him. So Lancia's similar heart rate, is a few years younger, as I've mentioned before, almost, well, technically young enough to be Davis's son. So, and as such, I would expect his heart rate to be a little higher, but he's a much taller rider, so that will consequently lower it slightly. Just trying to get a sense of how hard he is pushing against Davis, and I think quite. Rowland. And Davis still there, Skoular still there, Campbell, this is the next group back. Thompson's in here as well. And Courtier 30 seconds back from the leading, 33 seconds back now. The gap is widening slightly. And we'll just have a quick peek at Cat C, see what's going on. Looks as if Dave Sampson's moved into the lead on this hill. Smith and Shannon. Smith's held on a little, but he's 4 seconds behind Shannon on this climb. Sorry, 4 seconds behind Sampson on this climb, and Shannon is a further 5 seconds back with Smith just in front of him. Pedley in Cat B really has blown up. He's drifting now back through Cat C. He's then followed by Measham at 21.4k and Ray a further 4 seconds back. So this climb is making all the difference. And I saw a rider there stopped. Didn't get a chance to see who it was. So Campbell 40 seconds now behind Davis. And now what is Davis doing? Is he managing to stay in this group? He is indeed. So no change really. Riders rotating around a little, but they are nearly at the top, or the first of them are. Brackey approaching the summit. They'll be pleased when this is over. Let's have a look. Front rider from BCC right now is Katie Jury. And Beaver is suddenly moved into the front position there, drifted back slightly. Here comes Rowland and Skoular along with Lancia. Davis as well. No one giving any opportunities away. A couple more bends and through the KOM banner, and we begin the downhill just over halfway in this course. Begin the downhill before Box Hill. So Lancia hanging on in there. Is a great performance from him. I would have expected him to have been dropped a little bit or distanced a bit, but no, he's hanging on in there, so that bodes well for later on. I hope he's got more left to beat Davis. And here they come just up to the top. A 7% gradient. First of the riders are going over the top now. Someone else gone pop on the left. No, what's happened. Davis and Beaver still up the front, generally speaking. 10%. This is probably, I think this is the steepest part of the course. Roland there. Bracky is trying to pull ahead. He's up out of the saddle. He sees the top. He knows where it is. You can see on the screen. A little bit to go yet. Nearly there. But Bracky has pulled. Let's have a look. 3 seconds ahead of Roland, Davis and Co. He's been riding very well recently. Feels his chances are good on the steeper sections of this hill. A well-known Leith Hill. And there's a clear visual of what's happening behind him. Roland making a bit of a push to try and catch up and has closed a couple of seconds, so he's not letting him get away, as has Davis. And what's Beaver up to? Now Beaver seems to have... now this is a surprise. One of the better climbers in the club. And wonder what his tactics were, but he's now 8 seconds behind Davis, Roland and Co. Of course, Davis and Beaver on the same team. And I'm wondering whether they've been working together going up this hill. I would have thought maybe saving your energies for the next hill might have been a more interesting strategy. But anyway, and then Skoular is a further 5 seconds behind Beaver. Jury just behind. Lancier is a further 3 seconds back. Campbell 1:14 back. Courtier right and Thompson right next to him. So before leaving to have a look at Group C, let's just see what's happening at the top. Is Bracky going to have another push at this? Well, he's in a good position to do so. The others are right behind him, but they haven't fully caught up. They've made a lot of effort trying to close that gap, and are they able to? They'll be watching each other very carefully at this stage. There's about a 1 second gap. Doesn't sound like much, but let's just see. 2 second gap. So there we go. Davis, look, heartbeat 181, 183 I just saw there. That's about as hard as he goes. So he is putting absolutely everything into this climb. Spirited performance. Beaver now 15 seconds further back. Roland right next to Davis. Bracky is still pushing it though. He is absolutely not giving it up. He's 2 seconds ahead of Davis and Roland. Down to 1 second. So they are surging back and forward. Here we come up to the top. There is the top. It very quickly levels off. Now's the time to push. A PR from Bracky going up this hill. That just shows you how hard he was pushing. Now's the time to move on though. Move on now. Take advantage of this. Get up to speed as quickly as you can for this downhill section. This is not the time to recover. Do that in another 30 seconds and you will gain an awful lot of distance. There is Davis back in contention along with Roland. Beaver now 20 seconds further back. Lancier a further 18 behind him. And Katie Jury's just taken the jersey on Leith Hill. Great performance from her. Campbell and Thompson further 1 minute 30 seconds further back. So a last look at these riders before moving to Category C. Looks as if Roland's moved into the front. They're all back together. I should say the leading riders are all back together. There's Campbell, Courtier and Thompson. And then back to Cat C. No, it looks as if Shannon's back in the front again. Moved past Sampson on the hill. Of course, he knew that was coming, or they all do. But he's been up here many times. He's beginning slowly but surely to pull away from Sampson, who is 5 seconds further back, and the gap is widening pretty quickly. Same can be said of Smith, who's now 8 seconds further behind Shannon, but riding, I think, shall we say, far more appropriately than his last couple of races I've seen. Behind him, Pedley is still continuing to move further back. That is, in fact, Smith. You can see just a couple of riders ahead of him. Behind him is Measham. Then 17 seconds further back, Ray. Good performance from Peter Jones. Tom Hall, Al Watts together in the same team. And Gavin Wilkinson, I think, has closed the gap a bit. I can't quite remember, but it's certainly similar. And in the D's, 10k left for these riders. Still Hakima well ahead of Telford, who's 4 minutes 51 behind, but in his own right is 36 seconds ahead of Poulter, who is 43 seconds ahead of Lord. So at the moment, Cat C riders, let's have a look at them for a minute or two as they go up Leith Hill. There is Shannon. What's happening? 13 seconds now. So he is extending the gap between him and the next BCC rider, which is Sampson. Was 14, now 13. 14 again. So he's certainly not letting anyone get close to him at this stage. 15 seconds. It's going to go to 16 seconds. Shannon's at 3.3, 3.5 watts per kilo. Sampson 2.9, 3.2. Smith 2.6 to 3. So the just the watts per kilo from Shannon is higher than his two closest competitors, and the gap to them has widened 17 seconds to Sampson, 22 seconds to Smith. They are now at 25.1 kilometres, 45 minutes, 21 seconds into this race. The gap continues to increase. Good performance from Shannon. Just needs to hold on to it until he gets to the top. He has a bit to go yet. But he's getting there. And here we go into the steep part of this climb. What difference is that going to make? The gap between Shannon and Sampson and Smith has sort of stabilised. But of course they're on the steep, Shannon's on the slightly steeper part. They'll get onto it in just a moment. So it may increase. Let's have a look at Sampson. Might just be able to see Shannon in the distance. 4 riders further ahead. That might be Shannon just next to the thumbs up there. Now, what is the gap? 15 seconds, 14 seconds. It is staying fairly consistent. Right, back to Wait for Zwift just to settle down. Looks like Bracky is in the lead. Aha, something is going on here. This, of course, they've been down, I think, while I've been looking at Cat C, the downhill section. Bracky has pulled away 6 seconds from Rowland, 6 seconds from Davis. Has he broken them yet again? And now look at the difference to this. Beaver's a minute behind. This is from a win on Thursday evening. Lancia is gaining on Beaver, or I think it's Beaver reversing into Lancia is probably a better way of putting it. He's a further 11 seconds further back, and Jury and Skoular are 12 seconds behind Lancia. Campbell 113 further back. Now at 31k, so about 10k left. And let's have a look and see how far they've got to go. I don't know where the Cat D's finish other than by distance, as the course shown on the map this evening did not differentiate between the two. .7 kilometers. It's all happening at the front. So Davis, Rowland still together. Has Cartier made that break? Is he going to hold it? At the moment, it looks like it. That gap is 5 seconds. Not a huge gap, not for someone of Davis's ability, or Rowland's for that matter. But how many riders does he have around him? So there's a good group of, let's see, 4, 5, 6, 10 riders here. And that will be Davis and Co. in that second group behind, which looks to be much smaller from here. Is it 3 riders? 3 riders. So they will not be taking as much of an advantage, but there they go. On to Box Hill now. Looks as if Davis is going to try and close that gap. Staying consistent at about 5 seconds. And it's always interesting to see them on screen at this stage. They look so close, so easy to get to. But I can assure you it's not as easy as it looks. 8 seconds the gap has widened to 9 seconds now. Back down to 8. 33.5k, 51 minutes, 379 meters of climbing completed, and if I remember correctly, a total of 569, so roughly 200 more meters to go. Starting to rain again. There's a zigzag road and the two 180 degree or almost 180 degree bends coming up. And it's about this section that myself and 3 other riders from BCC fell off on all at the same time. Sheet of ice all the way down this side of the hill on a bright January day, sunny day. Roads were bone dry except for that piece of road in the shade, which was a sheet of ice. Thankfully we were going uphill and not down. So the gap now between Bracky, Rowland and Davis is 14 seconds. And there, visually easy to see as Bracky goes round the first of the 180 degree bends, begins to disappear to the left. So Bracky is keeping the pace on. Davis, heart rate still up there, dropped a few beats, but you can't hold your maximum heart rate for too long. Not particularly healthy apart from anything else. So it looks as if Beaver is out of this. Lancia, 33.6k in. Sitting along with Jury, and I think Schoolar's in here as well. He is. And then behind them, Thompson and Campbell. A further 21 seconds, 22 seconds back to Courtier. I'll have a quick check of Cat C. Aha, I thought, did I see something interesting happening there? Yes, we did indeed. Smith. And there he is. He's back in the game again, along with Sampson. Those two have caught up with Shannon, or it might have been the other way around. Shannon may have moved further back. But can they maintain this up this hill? Remains to be seen. Just having a quick look at Cat A just to see where they are really. So Cat A at 38.3 kilometers. And the front, or the BCC front of Cat B, 34.8. Those are the markings on the road left for the 2012 Olympics. Can't quite remember what they're supposed to mean, but anyway, they are there in real life. So Bracky continuing his superb attack. Now 24 seconds ahead of Davis and Rowland. If he keeps this up to the top of the hill, there is not far to go for him. It's just a right and a left-hand bend, and he is there. Begins to level off up here. Then it's a slight downhill, then another little bump up before the descent, and then the push for the finish. So if he manages to maintain this gap across the hill, doesn't relax too much on the downhill, he has every chance in a group this size of maintaining his position. So we will watch him come round the corner past the cafe on the right hand side. The rain has stopped again, although it does seem to be a bit sunny there, but maybe it's moonlight. And Bracky puts another push in. Not content with being ahead of all of the BCC riders, he's keen to get as much of a gap as possible. That gap is now 26 seconds. Here we go past the cafe on the right hand side. This is the top. Just coming to it now. And then there's a slight downhill. Feels good at this stage. There's the banner for the KOM. And just after this, it starts to go back downhill. But not long after that, it kicks up a little. You should see it on the profile on the top right of your screen. But he's taking full advantage of this. That gap now is 30 seconds. Here comes the little kick. I think it's a fairly steep little kick, if I remember. Has it got to 10%? Soon find out. Here we go. 10. Yep, it does indeed. 10%. Now's the time to push. 11 watts per kilo out of Brachy. It's an impressive performance. Just hold that for a second or two. He's moving into first position. That's that one rider ahead of him. He's not letting it go. And he goes over the top and can enjoy the downhill. Down to 2.6 watts, 1.4 watts per kilo. Now's the time to push, 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 push. Get up to speed quickly. It's wasting time and energy if you don't. He's not even up to super tuck speed. He is there now. So that's a great way of gaining an extra 3 seconds, I reckon, going over the top of that hill. Let's see what Davis does, who's 36 seconds further back. And Roland right next to him. Are they going to just relax for a few seconds, or are they going to put a kick in? No, Davis is off the power, 1.4 watts per kilo. No, he's holding on to it a little. No, he's come off the power as well. Easier said than done, and Beaver is on his way now. About a further 47 seconds further back for him as he hits the gradient. Schoolar 36 seconds behind Beaver. Jury 24 seconds behind Schoolar. Oh, sorry, I forgot Lancia was next to Schoolar. There he is. Campbell, along with Thompson still. Further 2 minutes back. No, 150. Coutier 56 seconds further back. And we'll have one more look at Cat C. Shannon. Oh, it's all change again on category C. Shannon's moved back into the lead just ahead of Samson. Smith is beginning to drift away again. Another strategy maybe not quite working, I'm not sure. Ray and Jones. Oh, let's have a look. Measham I saw there, sorry. Measham, who have we got here? Oh, Barry Pedley. Measham, Ray, Peter Jones. I'm just going to have a look in Cat D. Looks as if I might have missed the finish of Cat D. Apologies, guys. Or maybe not. Okima we might have missed. Oh no. If Telford's at 24k and the finish is around 31, I suspect Okima might have finished. Telford looks as if he will come in, barring disaster, 132 ahead of Lord. Lord's riding nicely though, has moved well ahead of Poulter, who's 45 seconds further back. Another look at Shannon pulling away from Smith and Sampson. Smith now has gone to the back. That's the view from Smith with view from Sampson with Smith just ahead of him. Shannon 3-4 riders further up as they go around the first of the 180-degree bends. Right hand one next, then the long drag up to the final corner. We move quickly up to the front of this field. Here's the underground, that's the bit I meant. And now we're getting to the finish. So Brachy is 51 seconds ahead of Roland and Davis. A superb performance from him. Timed that almost to perfection, I would say. There's absolutely nothing Davis can do about that, barring a mechanical from Brachy. Has been nicely ridden, and across the river, turn round to the left, back to the start pens, and that will be his race over. Hopefully on my screen I get to see the finish line tonight. On Thursday for me, for some reason, it just didn't appear at all. But it'd be easy to determine who out of the BCC Cat Bs wins, because he's so far in front. And 40.9, what did I say it was, 41 point something, 41.4 apparently, but I know this course. In fact, there we are, I can see the finish line, so they've got a left hand, oh, he's not, 16 watts per kilo, that's impressive, 800,000 watts. Almost unbelievable, but he is going for first place in Cat B. No matter what, there is someone chasing him down from behind, but he's not going to catch him. And it is Bracky that crosses the line in first position. Superb. And here we have now the battle that's going to happen between Davis and Rowland. That is Davis. Oh no, it's not a battle. Hang on. Misread this. Rowland is 30 seconds, 24 seconds ahead of Davis. So he is going to finish comfortably in second place for the team. Round the left-hand bend, and he will see the finish line 200 metres away. And there it comes into view just now, so we'll leave him. Davis is putting a spirited effort in, I think. Maybe it's Rowland that's just slowed down, but the gap now between Rowland and Davis is 20 seconds. Rowland, I think, has just watched his power drop. He has dropped now. Davis will be next across the line in third position. Sits up as he gets to the 200 metre line. And Beaver has managed to... he was, I think, 51 seconds further back, if not more, but he's managed to close that gap to 23 seconds to come in a respectable fourth position. And the left-hand bend, and the gentle curve to the right, and the finish will come into view for him. And then next we should have Lancia. I'll leave him at the 200 metres to go. There's Lancia. But Skular is just behind, 9 seconds further back. Is he possibly going to make a bit of an effort to catch up? I don't think so. Lancia's got a very strong finish on him, a good kick at the end. And now he comes up to the 300 metres to go. Skular is going for it though, but not enough. He's putting out power every now and again, but not holding it. And Lancia puts out a bit of a kick anyway. There he goes, 9-10 watts per kilo. No one's going to catch him. So Skular now. At 100 metres to go, at least got Lancia in view, and behind him is Dury, who has both the green and the polka dot jersey now, so a good strong ride from her. And next we have last look at Thompson and Campbell. There's Thompson, who has, he's pulled away from Campbell. 22-second gap back to Campbell. He will be next to cross line, 1 hour 7 minutes. A long ride for the riders, whether you come first, but particularly I think towards the rear of the field. Must be remembered these riders are out there longer than anyone else, which I think is always admirable in itself. Behind Campbell won't be making any inroads into his position is Courtier. And I just want to have a look and see if this section of the underground is, I think, on the way back maybe rather than the way in. Ah, there it is. That's what I was thinking was going to appear at the start. So there's the steep climb, and a huge kick is required just here, if not to lose all momentum. And I'll go back to Cat C now, see what's going on. Sampson, Smith, Shannon. Right, here we go. So Shannon at 36.6k, Smith 26 seconds further back, has not managed to stay close to Shannon, but has stayed ahead of Sampson. So partial strategy has worked. And it is actually good that riders try different things on different types of courses just to see how much energy reserves they have, which makes a difference in a ride of an hour and 8 minutes in a course of this type. Into the Super Tuck now, 71 kilometers per hour. Super Tuck cuts out to, I think it's -3%. It's a good opportunity. And he's now 36 seconds ahead of Smith, who is not yet, well, he's lost an advantage here. He's not in the Super Tuck position, and the road is steep enough. If he just stopped pedalling and go faster, particularly at 2.6 watts per kilo. It's a great time to take advantage, and -9%. There is no real need at this gradient to pedal. There is now, though, as it begins to flatten out. So that is Smith. Shannon still in the Super Tuck. This is a really nice long descent. And it comes out towards the roundabout at the bottom now. Flattens off pretty quickly. And then the riders will miraculously reappear. There's the Shard in the distance, nowhere near Box Hill, but anyway, that's because it's on the other side of the magic tunnel. And here comes the transition into the other reality, into the underground tunnels. Now 44 seconds ahead of Smith. And we'll have a look and watch Shannon climb up the 15% sort of escalator section, as I call it, and then compare him to what Smith and Sampson get up to. Comes up for this right hand bend, then a sharp left, and it is straight up at that point. This is where it's important to